The Babe led the Bombers to their first World Championship in 1923.
Strike three, a no-hitter, a perfect game for Don Larson.
Reggie Jackson hit his third home run of the game.
Hayes makes the catch. The Yankees win.
The Yankees are back on top. World champions for the 27th time.
The 1932 World Series would turn out like the last two the Yankees were in. It was their third consecutive World Series sweep. They had swept the Pirates in 1927 and the Cardinals in 1928. The Cubs were next in 1932.
The 1932 World Series began with bad blood between the American League champion New York Yankees and the National League champion Chicago Cubs. The Yankees were managed by Joe McCarthy, who only 2 years before had been dismissed as manager of the Cubs.
Now he's playing his former team. So this was a big part of it, and all the Yankees knew about this.
And Cubs shortstop Mark Koenig had formerly played for the New York Yankees in the late 1920s.
Cubs had given only a half-series share to Mark Koenig,
which the Yankees felt was very unfair to their former teammate and their longtime friend.
Before the drama unfolded in the 1932 Fall Classic, the Yankees finished first in the American League with a record of 107-47, 13 games ahead of the Philadelphia Athletics. The Bronx Bombers recorded just 15 losses at home, which to this day still stands as a major league record. As usual, Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth did damage at the plate, while Coombs, Dickey, and Lazzeri all hit over 300. And in June of that season, second baseman Tony Lazzeri hit for the first natural cycle in Yankees history. In just his second full season, Lefty Gomez anchored the pitching staff by throwing over 265 innings and winning 24 games. Red Ruffing won 18 games of his own and led the American League with 190 strikeouts. Rookie pitcher Johnny Allen led the majors with a winning percentage of .810.
The 1932 World Series was a high-scoring affair. The Yankees bludgeoned the Chicago Cubs in Game 1, winning by a score of 12-6.
The Yankees' offense exploded out of the gate. Gehrig went 2 for 4 with a 2-run homer, while Earl Coombs and Babe Ruth collectively added 5 runs and 3 RBI. Red Ruffing pitched a complete game, allowing just 3 earned runs while striking out 10. Game 2 saw much of the same from the Bronx Bombers. Lefty Gomez struck out 8 and allowed just 1 earned run in the complete game victory. The Iron Horse, Lou Gehrig, and Yankees catcher Bill Dickey combined for 5 hits and 3 RBI as the Yankees took a 2-0 series lead.
Game 3 of the 1932 World Series took place at Wrigley Field on October 1st and was one of the most exciting and memorable games in World Series history.
There was one of the greatest events in professional sports that occurred on this day that became a mystique and took a life of its own on it.
There's one hit and one man that you have to talk about: Babe Ruth's called shot home run. The two teams were riding each other all throughout the World Series, with a key point being the cheapness of the Cubs team, voting Koenig only a half share of the World Series money. Ruth was the lightning rod for the Yankees, as you might expect. And before the game, Babe Ruth had to dodge lemons that were thrown at him out of the stands.
Babe Ruth began the game with a 3-run home run in the top of the first inning, and teammate Lou Gehrig contributed with a solo shot in the top of the third. In the bottom of the fourth inning, Ruth, who was playing left field, attempted to make a shoestring catch of a fly ball, which he handled rather sloppily, and Cubs fans really got on Ruth for his less than stellar defensive play.
In the top of the fifth inning, the Cubs and Yankees were tied 4-4.
When Ruth came to bat, he was just hit with a barrage of vituperation as he squared off against Charlie Root,
who is still the Cubs' all-time victory leader with 201.
Root threw a first strike. Ruth is said to have held up one finger to indicate it's only one.
And a second called strike went across the plate.
Pointed 2 fingers. Some people say that he was pointing to the Cubs' dugout. Other people say that he was pointing to deep center field. But most people feel that Ruth was indicating that he would hit a home run on the next pitch that Ruth offered. And lo and behold, on that pitch, Ruth did hit a home run to bleachers in the deepest part of Wrigley Field's center field, the longest home run that had ever been hit at that ballpark.
And he proceeded to run around the bases, gesturing at the Cubs and their fans and their dugout.
Now, Charlie Root, the pitcher of the Cubs, always maintained that Ruth never pointed to center field, because if he had done so, Root would have stuck one in his ear.
And it prompted Earl Coombs, the Yankee center fielder, to say, when the Babe got up, They were standing there jeering him and screaming at him, but after he hit that shot, it was like a machine gun mowed them down as they all fell back on the bench.
Few fans remember that after Ruth hit his so-called called shot home run, Lou Gehrig hit a solo home run as well.
The Yankees buried the Cubs 7-5 in Game 3. After the game, Ruth was coy about whether he had pointed and called his shot. He said, "It's in all the papers, isn't it? Therefore, it must be true."
Babe Ruth, once he found that some of the reporters were picking up on the event as a called shot, glommed onto it as his highlight reel, never denied it, and sometimes winkingly affirmed it.
I'll never forget, it was a tough series. Both clubs riding each other, doing everything to get each other's goat. Well, at this one particular time when I went to bat, Charlie Root was pitching. And the first pitch ball was a called strike. Well, I thought it was outside and didn't like it very much. So the boys over there would give me this, on you. Well, the second pitch ball was another called strike. Well, I didn't like that one either, so I let it go by. Well, I stepped out of the box, and by that time they were over there going crazy. And I looked down at center field and I pointed. I said, I'm going to hit the next pitch ball right past the flagpole. Well, the good Lord must have been with me.
Babe Ruth stole the show with his infamous called shot, but Lou Gehrig added 2 solo home runs of his own, while George Pipgrass pitched 8 strong, en route to a Yankees victory and a commanding 3-0 lead over the Chicago Cubs.
In Game 4, the Chicago Cubs jumped to a quick 4-1 lead and knocked out the Yankees' starting pitcher, but the Yankees tied the score by the middle innings and pulled away for a 13-6 victory. Yankees center fielder Earl Coombs got into the act with a solo home run, and second baseman Tony Lazzeri added 2 home runs of his own.
Gehrig also notched 2 hits and 3 RBI. Wilcie Moore was the winning pitcher, giving up 2 hits and no earned runs over 5 1/3. The Yankees completed the sweep and ran their World Series winning streak to 12 games. It was the 4th championship in franchise history.
After the series, Hall of Fame second baseman for the Cubs, Billy Herman, said, "You hate to say it, but we were strictly overmatched, and we were a damn good ball club." Ironically, the real star of the series was Lou Gehrig, who hit .529 with 3 homers, 9 runs scored, and 8 RBIs, more than Ruth in every category. But just as it would always be for the great Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth stole all the headlines. This would turn out to be Babe Ruth's final World Series, and the called shot, his final World Series home run.
The Yankees scored a grand total of 37 runs in this 4-game World Series and recorded a cumulative team batting average of .313 over the course of the 4 games.
The pitching staff was brilliant as well. 4 pitchers maintained an ERA under 3. Moore, Gomez, Ruffing, and Pipgrass recorded the victories, while Herb Pennock, at age 38, notched 2 saves. Throughout his Yankees career, the Babe led the Bombers to 4 World Series titles, with the 1932 Fall Classic being his final one. It wouldn't be long before the Bronx Bombers returned to the Promised Land, and they wouldn't have to look far for the superstar who would guide them there.